of the acharyas and be able to chant the holy name sincerely as propagated by Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Adnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So when we are reading the shlokas, that time I will share the screen. Now we will discuss. So here Kaviraj Goswami starts with the how the book is divided is Chaithanya Charithamrita is up to Mahaprabhu taking sannyas is considered as is put in the Adi Lila. So in the Madhya Lila, Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas like that. So detail of taking sannyas is also there in the Madhya Lila. So now what we will see now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the earthly pastimes for 48 years, of which first 20 years was like Nimai Pandit. From 20th to 24 years, he had already started the Sankirtan movement, but he was still in the Grahastha ashram. In the 24th year, when his wife was still 16 years old, Vishnupriya, he took sannyas. And for the later 24 years are his sannyas pastimes. And the later 24 years also, 6 years he is traveling to South India and Vrindavan. And the last 12 years was the intense separation from Lord Krishna, because we already discussed that Lord Chaitanya is none other than Krishna himself, but in the mood and the complexion of Srimati Radharani. So in the last 12 years of his Leela, he was exhibiting intense separation from Krishna to the highest degrees, which we cannot even imagine. Chaitanya Charitamrita tells to a greater detail, but still it is very hard to perceive for ourselves. That is the kind of separation which Lord Chaitanya exhibits in his earthly Leela during the last 12 years. So when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, the sannyas ceremony happened at Khatwa, and Lord Chaitanya took sannyas from Keshav Bharati Maharaj. Keshav Bharati Maharaj is from the Bharati Sampradaya, apparently a Mayavad Sampradaya. The reason what happened is Lord Chaitanya had come to propagate the Sankirtan movement, and he realized and he noticed that between the years of 20 and 24 that everybody is not ready to accept it. And at those times, there was a very high respect for the sannyasis, and especially high respects for the Bharati Sampradaya. There are a couple of sampradayas which people regarded as high at that time. So he thought that if I take sannyas now, people out of respect will listen to me, and he really wanted to propagate and spread the Sankirtan movement, the Harinam movement, to every nook and corner of the world. So that is the reason that such young age he took sannyas, and specifically from Keshav Bharati Maharaj. So at Katwa, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, and in ecstasy, Vrindavan, he says, and he just runs. And all the devotees run behind him. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu makes a plan and makes someone to mislead him. That is, instead of Vrindavan, they showed Mahaprabhu the direction of Shantipur. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to Shantipur, and at that time his mother Sachi Mata was completely in shock, because she did not expect her son to take sannyas actually. So Navadvip and Shantipur are very close by actually, even today, means they're very close by. So then devotees bring Sachi Devi to Shantipur, and Shantipur is the residence of Advaita Acharya. And at that time, Mahaprabhu stays there for some 10 days, and at the request of Sachi Devi specifically, and all the devotees also, Sachidevi requests Mahaprabhu that please make the residence at Jagannath Puri. That way you are not in Navadvip, because as a sannyasi he cannot be very close to his family, original family. So that way you are not in Navadvip. But if you go to Vrindavan, it is too far. And at those times there was no email system or whatever the transport system. It was very hard for communication. So she says, if you are in Jagannath Puri, devotees every year travel to Jagannath Puri for the Rath Yatra. So I will be able to get your news. I need to know what's happening there. So so she puts her sincere request that please make your residence in Jagannath Puri, and Lord Chaitanya agrees for that. And so he sets off to Jagannath Puri with only 4 of his associates: Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda, Damodar Pandit, and Jagadananda Pandit. With these 4 associates, Lord Chaitanya heads and runs towards Jagannath Puri. And there are a lot of sequence of happenings that happened in their journey towards Jagannath Puri, which in elaborate Krishnaj Kaviraj Goswami gives in the Chaitanya Charithamrita. And when he was nearing Jagannath Puri, he was in complete ecstasy. And there, just before outskirts of Jagannath Puri is now it is called as Danda Bhanga Nadi. So Mahaprabhu takes his bath, and actually Nityananda Prabhu was holding his danda. Now he had received sannyas from Ekadandi Sampradaya, from Mayavad Sampradaya. So he had Ekadanda. So what Nityananda Prabhu does is, out of trick, he breaks the danda into 3 pieces, because we are the Gaudiyas, na? We are Tridandis. That is, body, mind, and soul are dedicated. So we have 3. So he breaks the danda into 3 pieces. And as a pastime, Mahaprabhu says, where is my danda? And Nityananda Prabhu says, it has broken. Then he says, okay, this is my only possession and you broke it. I don't need you. I will go on my own. And he rushes. He leaves his associates and he just runs towards Jagannath Mandir. He sees the chakra and out of ecstasy, he runs towards Jagannath Mandir. And his associates also follow behind him. But he would have headed already straight into the Jagannath temple. And when he sees Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra on the altar, he sees Jagannath as Shyam Sundar, and in complete ecstasy, he falls unconscious. And he was a tall sannyasi, very fair, golden complexion, very young, very beautiful. And he has fallen in the Jagannath temple, and everybody is looking at him. And at that time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the greatest scholar, very elderly devotee, very great Mayavad impersonalist, actually. He was the guru of the place, actually. Almost he was the guru of the entire area, and he happened to be there, and he sees him, and he makes the devotees bring him to his house. And then these associates, Nityananda Prabhu and others, also reach there, and they ask, did you see any sannyasi? And then they direct them to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. Then they chant loudly into the ears of Mahaprabhu, and then Mahaprabhu comes back to consciousness. At that time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you are a very young sannyasi. You need to know the Vedantas very elaborately. Otherwise, it is very difficult for you to maintain your sannyas. And he preaches, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya preaches Mahaprabhu for 7 days. And at the end of the discourse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and that is a very beautiful exchange of dialogues, and that has been elaborately given in the Chaitanya Charithamrita also. And in the end, the essence of all the discussion happened is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya surrenders to Lord Chaitanya. He then becomes a very great associate of Lord Chaitanya. And today, when we are singing the Sachi Sutashtakam, which we sing during the Gaur Purnima time, was composed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He was otherwise a greatest Mayavada philosopher. Now he becomes the greatest devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So that kind of transformations happened during that time. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya arranges for Lord Chaitanya to stay at Gambhira. Today also in Jagannath Puri, we have the place Gambhira. And so Lord Chaitanya stays there. And soon after, he leaves for the South India Yatra. And 2 years he travels South India. And that is the time he met the Kurma Brahmana. He met Vasudev Dutt, the leper. Then he meets Ramananda Rai, who is none other than Vishaka Saki. And he has a 10 days exchange. And that is chapters and chapters by itself in the Chaitanya Charitamrita at Kour near the near at the banks of Godavari, and then south he goes to Kanyakumari, and then he gets the Brahma Samhita. He procures the Brahma Samhita, and today we are having able to read the Brahma Samhita because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu procured it at that time. And then he comes back to Jagannath Puri again. So that was a 2 year trip. And after that, he after taking after another next year, he leaves to Vrindavan. The entire lot of devotees go with him to Vrindavan. So instead of taking the direct path, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes the path via Ramakeli, and it is at Ramakeli that for the first time Lord Chaitanya meets Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Anupam. Anupam is the brother of Rupa and Sanatan. So that is the first time the meeting between them and Mahaprabhu happens. Actually, Rupa and Sanatan, they were serving as the home minister and finance minister for Nawab Hussain Shah, the Muslim ruler at that time. And so they were called as Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. So they were renamed only. They were initiated in that line. And but they had heard so much about Lord Chaitanya, and they had developed so much intense love and deep bhakti for Lord Chaitanya, and they were continuously writing letters to Lord Chaitanya telling that they want to meet Lord Chaitanya. And now Mahaprabhu has physically come to Ramkeli to meet them, and in the middle of the night Rupa and Sanatana meet them. Even Anupam meets them, and Jiva Goswami, who was then the greatest philosopher of the time, was then 2 years old. So this meeting happens, and at that time, Sanatana Goswami tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that with so many devotees, if you go to Vrindavan, you will not be able to relish the intense, the depth of Vrindavan. So you should go with one or two associates only. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes back to Jagannath Puri, and next year he goes only with Balabhadra Bhattacharya to Vrindavan via the Charikanda forest, and the pastimes happening in Charikanda forest are also elaborately given, where by the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so much of love was poured that the tigers and the deers and the snakes all dance together. And we have a famous picture that they are all in their paws dancing and raising their hooves and hands for chanting of the holy names. And today also in Jharikanda forest, there are the footprints of the animals, it seems, which I have not seen. So, via Jharikanda forest, he again goes to Vrindavan, and the Kartika Purnima day, he reaches Vrindavan until the Falgu, till January, like 3-4 months, he stays in Vrindavan and he comes back. So, so all this takes place for almost 6 years, going here, there, then after next year going to Vrindavan, again next year going to Vrindavan actually. So all this travel takes 6 years maximum. And then the last 18 years, he was in Jagannath Puri only. And in that also, last 12 years was the intense exhibition of intense separation. That is happens in Jagannath Puri. And one particular thing which Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami highlights in this particular section is every year the devotees used to come to celebrate Rath Yatra from Navadvip. So that's what Sachimata had told, that anyways devotees come, so I will get the news from you, of you, like that. So how does that happen is, we know that in June, July, Rath Yatra happens. That is Shravan Shuddha Bidige, that is Shravan Shuddha, and the second day, that day is the Rath Yatra day. The previous Ashvija Paurnami will become the Snana Yatra day, and after 15 days, we have the Rath Yatra that happens every year. So what the devotees do is, see, at those times, in those times, there were no like train, book, or whatever ways of media of communication or transportation. Commuting was not there. So they had to walk. So walking also, they also, see, there were a lot of provinces, small Indian provinces, and small kings were there, and many Muslim rulers were there. So in every, when they had to cross provinces, they had to pay taxes. So it is an elaborate thing. It was not a like just go. It's not like, for us today things are so easy. Then also to go, we think so many times. For them, every year, 4 months, that 4 months they stay there. From July till Dola Yatra, till October, they stay there. From July to October, they stay. And every year, families, everybody go. And now they also have some arrangements that is required for the entire team to go. The Shivanand Sen used to take care of all that, paying taxes. Then now and then boats will be there. Then they have to cross certain rivers in boats. Then they'll get down and they'll walk. And then again, sometimes rivers will come. Again, they'll have to get down. And then prasad is required. Then tents are required. So all these arrangements for like weeks, they walk from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri every year, and then they reach and they are so much in ecstasy, that they have to see Mahaprabhu. They are seeing Mahaprabhu. In that ecstasy, they'll be walking. That is how they do it. So it is not very easy, but they used to do. That is the kind of love they had for Mahaprabhu. And then they reach Jagannath Puri during the Rath Yatra time. And at that time, King Prataprudra was the king, and he was a devoted servant and devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And he used to arrange all the accommodation and prasad for the devotees who come. And then also the style of Jagannath Puri, I think even it is today also, there is that Anand Bazaar where because Jagannath eats so much in Jagannath Puri, and he has 56 offerings and 5-6 times a day. So much of rice and so much of dal and so much of sabji is cooked. Anybody at home, if they have bhandar or if they have program for 20 people, means they'll go and buy that much prasad from Anand Bazaar and come. That is the style there. So when the devotees came, devotees used to get prasad from Anand Bazaar, and people, they used to be fed. Sometimes somebody will sponsor, sometimes King Prataprudra, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, something like that will happen, and devotees will have prasad. And then the Rath Yatra, during the Rath Yatra, there is a sequence of events that happen. And before the Rath Yatra, we have the Gundicha Marjan. And in the Gundicha Marjan, then there is elaborate explanation of how the Gundicha, the temple of Gundicha, is thoroughly cleaned. And next day morning is the Rath Yatra. Next day morning, Rath Yatra, everybody wakes up early in the morning and they go to the Jagannath Mandir. And then there's the Pahandi Vijaya. Pahandi Vijaya means in Rath Yatra, you know, no? In Jagannath Rath Yatra means Lord Jagannath himself from the altar, the main deity only gets up and comes. So he is completely dressed, and they have three, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, independently. They come from the Simhadwar, and Lord Chaitanya will be there, and Lord Chaitanya will be in complete ecstasy. Jagannath is in ecstasy. Lord Chaitanya is in ecstasy. Devotees are in ecstasy. And that is the way they come down from the Simhadwar, and they come out, and they have 3 carts completely decorated, and each of the deities get into their cart, and it is a festival by itself. Even today it works like that. And then the devotees pull the Rath, and Rath Yatra chapters are so many in Chaithanya Charitamrita, where how the devotees, Mahaprabhu makes 7 groups, and each group will have 2 mridangas, 4 kalta players, 2 dancers, and they'll be full in jubilation. Entire Rath Yatra till it reaches also, they'll be in dancing only. 7 groups are there, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in each of the groups, and sometimes he'll be in 7 groups at a time. Only some devotees can see him at a time in 7 places. And this Jagannath also, because Jagannath is Krishna, Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mode of Radharani, they have their intense separation, and they have the intense exchange of moods in the Rath Yatra festival. And suddenly Jagannath stops, and then Mahaprabhu, and however, how much ever they pull the cart, also Jagannath does not come. And then Mahaprabhu goes behind the cart, and he just touches his forehead, and gada gada gada, the Rath moves. So these are the kind of beautiful exchanges that take place. And in this one particular place, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, in this section, he explains that now the Jagannath Mandir, the Sri Mandir, is considered as Dwaraka, and the Gundicha Mandir is considered as Vrindavan. So the pastime of Rath Yatra is Lord is coming from Dwaraka to Vrindavan. That is the pastime that happens. So the reference is during Krishna's time, at the age of 11, Krishna had left Vrindavan and gone to Dwarka, and 125 years he finally has performed his pastime. So almost after 100 years, there was a solar eclipse that happens in Kurukshetra, and everybody would have, it was planned that everybody will come to Kurukshetra, the Dwaraka Vasis as well as the Vrindavan Vasis. And that is the time the Dwaraka Vasis, the Mahishis of Lord Krishna, the queens of Lord Krishna, Rohini, everybody, they come to Kurukshetra, and he is in his big crown because he's Krishna, the king, not the time. And here from Vrindavan, the gopis headed by Radharani go to Kurukshetra also, and very far distance they see Krishna, and then they don't like Krishna to be in his royal dress. They want Krishna to be a Vanamali with the forest flowers, with his peacock feather and with his flute, because they have seen Krishna and they like Krishna to be like that. So mentally they decorate Krishna like that, and mentally they pull Krishna back to Vrindavan. So pulling Krishna from Dwaraka to Vrindavan is the significance that is exhibited as the Rath Yatra. So we also, as devotees, like we pull Krishna into our hearts. So for that, Gundicha Marjana means we have to keep our hearts clean. That time Krishna will come and take place, sit in our hearts also. So that also Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami tells specifically in this particular section. Now what we will do is, we will read through this section. We'll read through this section. If there are some tidbits which I have left, we will tell it, and then we'll go to the next section. So I'll just share my screen now. One second. One minute. Yeah. So Vinodini Mataji, you will read 1.46, the first verse.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pradhamavastare. Sloga how to recite, Mataji?
I'll recite. Prathamavatsare Advaitadi Bhakti Gana.
Pradhamavastare Advaitadi Bhakti Gana.
Bhakti Gana. Prabhure Dekhite Kaila Niladri Gamana.
Prabhure Dekhite Kaila Niladri Gamana.
You want to read the translation?
I'll read, Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The first year after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, all the devotees headed by Sri Advaita Prabhu went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, next one. Bhuvana will read.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Ratha Yatra Dekhi Tahan Rahila Chari Masa Prabhu Sange Nritya Gita Parama Ullasa. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. After attending the Ratha Yatra ceremony at Jagannath Puri, all the devotees remained there for 4 months, greatly enjoying the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by performing kirtana, chanting and dancing. Thank you, Mataji.
Next one.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Deval will read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam. Vidaya Samaya Prabhu Kahilasa Bare Pratyabda Asibe Sabe Gundicha Dekhi Bare. Translation. At the time of departure, the Lord requested all the devotees, please come here every year to see the Rath Yatra festival of Lord Jagannatha's journey to the Gundicha temple.
So even Lord Chaitanya is in separation of the devotees. So they like devotees want to see Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu wants to see Jagannath, Lord Chaitanya. So that is the exchange of love between the devotees and the Supreme Lord. And next one second. Gayatri.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Prabhu Agnaya Bhakta Gana Pratyabda Asiya Gundicha Dekiya Yana Prabhure Miliya. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees used to visit Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I can't see this.
Can't see?
No. My computer. Some year is there. No?
Every year.
Every year. They would see the Gundicha festival at Jagannath Puri and then return home after 4 months. Hare Krishna.
Next one, Parvati Sridev.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Vinsati Vatsara Aicha Kaila Gata Gati Anyone Dunhara Dunha Vina Nahi Stiti. Translation: For 20 consecutive years, this meeting took place, and the situation became so intense that the Lord and the devotees could not be happy without meeting one another. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Okay, next one, Uma Kulkarni.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Shesharai rahe dvadashavattara Krishnera viraha lila prabhura antara. Translation by A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The last 12 years were simply devoted to relishing the pastimes of Krishna in separation within the heart of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Purport: Mahaprabhu enjoyed the position of the gopis in separation from Krishna. When Krishna left the gopis and went to Mathura, the gopis cried for him the rest of their lives, feeling intense separation. These ecstatic feelings of separation were specifically advocated by Lord Chaitanya through his actual demonstration. So he was completely in the gopi bhav during his, that is especially in the last 12 years. And Maumita Datta.
Hare Krishna Mataji, 1.52. Nirantara Ratri Dina Vihara Anmade Hase Kande Nache Gaya Paramavi Sade. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the attitude of separation, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, mad both day and night. Sometimes he laughed and sometimes he cried. Sometimes he danced and sometimes he chanted in great sorrow. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
These were the extraordinary symptoms exhibited by Lord Chaitanya, which are there in very detailed explanation in the Chaithanya Charithamrita in the future chapters actually. And next one, Rupali.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Ekale karena Jagannatha darshana mana pave kurukshetre panachi milana. Translation: At those times, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would visit Lord Jagannatha. Then his feelings exactly corresponded to those of the gopis when they saw Krishna at Kurukshetra after long separation. Krishna had come to Kurukshetra with his brother and sister to visit. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. So this is like what we were mentioning, we had discussed just now, that the Krishna performing Yajna, he invited all the inhabitants to Vrindavan to come and see him. Lord Chaitanya's heart was always filled with separation from Krishna, but as soon he had the opportunity to visit Jagannath temple, he became fully absorbed in the thoughts of gopis who came to see Krishna at Kurukshetra. That was the mood he exhibited when he saw Lord Jagannath, and he was filled with ecstasy. One second. 54. Who is here? Janaki Vinod.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी। रथ यात्रा या आगे यबे करे न नर्तन ताहानी पद मात्र करे ये गायन. Translation by Divine Krishna Prabhupada ki jai. Mataji, can you scroll it up? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to dance before the car during the festival, he always sang the following two lines.
So what we will do is the 55th, this is the 54th, the 55th and 55th, I'll read one second. Se prarana natha painu yaha lagi madana dahane jhurigenu. So these are all very deep ecstasies which we will not understand. So we will skip this particular shloka because these are the mood of separation of the gopis and the Krishna, which are very intense actually for us to at this level to really appreciate it. So then what happens is now we are getting into the next section. So first we will discuss on this section, and then we will read the shlokas like this, what we have done before. So in great ecstasy, sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed by the situation, and once he recited a shloka, a particular shloka, where he says that I am the same Radha, you are the same Krishna, and very, very deep actually. So that particular shloka, when he recited, Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was always the principal associate of Lord Chaitanya, and he was always with Lord Chaitanya. So he was the only person who could realize, who could understand what exactly Lord Chaitanya was going through, what was the mood of Lord Chaitanya at that particular time. So even during the last 12 years, or during the last portion of his exhibition of his pastime in this earthly pastimes, that time when he was in that intense separation, it was Swarup Damodar Prabhu only, Swarup Damodar Goswami only, who could handle Lord Chaitanya, because he was very much connected. He could clearly understand the mood of Lord Chaitanya. So what was happening is, so when Lord Chaitanya recited that particular verse, it was only Chaitanya, Swarup Damodar Goswami could understand. Then later, Swarup Damodar Goswami shows this verse to Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami, when he reads, he also understands, he writes down the meaning of that verse in a palm leaf. So what exactly is Lord Chaitanya thinking by reciting that verse, that Rupa Goswami writes down in a palm leaf. And he puts it in the rooftop of his hut or a house, whatever you can say. He puts it there and he goes to take bath. Now, actually, the situation in Jagannath Puri is like this. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Haridas Thakur, they did not enter the Jagannath temple, because Jagannath temple even today is restricted for Hindus. And at that time, Haridas Thakur, although we know we have for us Haridas Thakur is there because he is Namacharya, but apparently in the past time he was born from a Muslim, he had a Muslim background. And Rupa and Sanatana, although they were Brahmins by birth, they had served the Muslims for a very long period. So these three personalities, by the management of Jagannath temple, did not allow, and Lord Chaitanya did not forcefully make them enter, nor the devotees really wanted to enter, because he wanted to maintain or did not want to create chaos in the management of the Jagannath temple. And anyways, everybody saw Lord Jagannath when he comes out to the Rath Yatra. And so that way the Jagannath deity they can see. But Lord Chaitanya is non-different from Lord Jagannath, because Lord Chaitanya is Lord Krishna himself. What he used to do is every day morning he will take darshan of Jagannath, and there is something called as the Upala Bhoga. Upala Bhoga means like we call it as Raj Bhog. No? During afternoon there is the Upala Bhog ceremony. And after that Upala Bhog, then Mahaprabhu will come, take bath in the ocean, go back to Jagannath temple, and he'll observe the Upala Bhog ceremony, and the Jagannath Mahaprasad, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to Siddha Bakul to give. Now Siddha Bakul is a residence of Haridas Thakur, which is adjacent to Gambhira. Mahaprabhu had made Haridas Thakur stay at Siddha Bakul, which is very adjacent to Gambhira. And Gambhira, Siddha Bakul, everything is very close to Jagannath temple in Puri even now. So Mahaprabhu every day afternoon, he used to send, sometimes personally bring, most of the time personally bring, or at least send Mahaprasad of Jagannath to Haridas Thakur. And whenever Rupa Goswami came to Jagannath Puri, and whenever Sanatan Goswami came to Jagannath Puri, they used to reside in Siddha Bakul with Haridas Thakur only. And at this particular instance, when this writing of that particular verse is happening, Rupa Goswami is in Jagannath Puri and with Haridas Thakur at the Siddha Bakul residence. And now, so it is told that even though these personalities could not see Jagannath in the temple, Swayam Jagannath, as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, would every day come and meet the devotees. So taking darshan is very important, but that is not just all in all. So these personalities apparently could not go, but Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swayam every day used to come and give prasad. So that was the arrangement. So that day also afternoon, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brings that Upala Bhog. After the Upala Bhoga ceremony at Jagannath temple, he brings Mahaprasad and he comes to the place where Rupa Goswami is staying. And now Rupa Goswami, what he has done is he has written the meaning of that verse in a palm leaf and put that palm leaf in his rooftop upper like that, and he has gone to take bath in the sea. And when Mahaprabhu arrives, he happens to see that palm leaf and he picks it up and he reads it. And when he reads it, he was in complete amazement. And he asked, who has written this? And Swarup Damodar Goswami says, it is none other than Rupa Goswami. And at that time, Rupa Goswami arrives and he feels shy because he's like, okay, you saw it. And then Mahaprabhu, when Rupa Goswami sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he falls at his feet like a rod, like straight dandavats he puts. And Mahaprabhu picks him up and lovingly he slaps him. And he says that, slaps him and then he puts him on his lap and caresses him. And he says, how is that you understood the core of my heart? How is that you understood everything? And at that time he asked Swarup Damodar Goswami, how is that Rupa Goswami is able to understand the deep thoughts and the deep thoughts of my sentiments? How is he able to understand and how is he able to write it down? And then Swarup Damodar Goswami tells Mahaprabhu that it is because you have shown your special mercy on him. And Mahaprabhu agrees, yes, he is very dear to me and I'm empowering him. That, so we are called as the Rupanugas. Today we are called as Gaudiya. Our parampara is called the Rupanugas, the followers of Rupa Goswami, because he was specifically empowered, specially by Lord Chaitanya, to propagate this bhakti cult which was apparently lost. So he orders, later he tells Rupa Goswami to go to Vrindavan and excavate all the lost holy places, because when Krishna's great grandson had installed all the deities of Lord of Krishna, like Radha Govinda Dev, many deities he had installed, and over a period of time, and because of the Mughal rule, and Mughal rule comes later, and because of period of time, it was all lost. And Lord Chaitanya instructs Rupa Goswami to go and excavate all the holy places. And at Prayag also, he gives him 10 days of intense the details of the bhakti cult, which later Rupa Goswami writes down in his books, and the famous are the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Ujjvala Neelamani, the Utkala Vallari. These are the very, very many books which Rupa Goswami later writes, because he was specially empowered by Lord Chaitanya. And anyways, Rupa Goswami is none other than the Rupa Manjari. So they are all from the same Krishna Loka who have come down to give the bhakti cult for the common masses like us. So in this particular pastime, Mahaprabhu says that he embraces Rupa Goswami and he specifically says that, yes, I am empowering him so that he will be able to spread the bhakti cult. So that is the section which Krishraj Kaviraj Goswami covers in this particular, this one. We will read from 56 now. 1 second. I'll just share the screen. Sudha, 56.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Yehi dhuya gane nache na dvitiya prahara Krishna lana vrajayai ye bhavan antara. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sing this song Seita Parananatha, especially during the latter part of the day. He would think, let me take Krishna and go back to Vrindavana. This ecstasy was always filling his heart. Thank you, Mataji.
So,
Hare Krishna.
Being always absorbed in the ecstasy of Radharani, Mahaprabhu felt the same separation from Krishna that Radharani felt when Krishna left Vrindavana and went to Mathura. This ecstatic feeling is very helpful in attaining love of God in separation. Lord Chaitanya has taught everyone that one should not be overly anxious to see the Lord, but should rather feel separation from him in ecstasy. It is actually better to feel separation from him than to desire to see him face to face. When the gopis of Vrindavan, the residents of Gokula, met Krishna at Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse, they wanted to take Krishna back to Vrindavana. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also felt the same ecstasy as soon as he saw Jagannath in the temple or on the Rath Yatra cart. The gopis of Vrindavana did not like the opulence of Dwaraka. They wanted Krishna to the village, take Krishna to the village of Vrindavan and enjoy his company in the groves. This desire was also felt by Lord Chaitanya, and he danced in ecstasy before the Rath Yatra festival when Lord Jagannatha went to Gundicha. Jai. 1 second. 57. Medhavini Sakhi Dasi.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी। ये भावे नृत्य मध्ये पादे एक श्लोका से श्लोकेर अर्थ केह नाही बुझे लोका। Translation. In that ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited a verse when dancing in front of Lord Jagannath. Almost no one could understand the meaning of that verse. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So this we will read only the translation. Nirmala Ramaraj.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlight nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of Reva, under the Vetasi tree. This is my desire. Hare Krishna.
So this appears in the Padyavali at Anthology of Verses compared with Srila Gopal. So these are something which are really much beyond our understanding, because on our conditional level, these may seem very much like what is this kind of understanding, but they are the highest understandings, the separation of the gopi from Krishna. So only Kaviraj Goswami in the initial chapters of Adi Lila clearly establishes the tattva of Lord Chaitanya, the tattva of the gopis, the tattva of Srimati Radharani, and then the pastimes are given so that there is no confusion. And 59, who is Baki? Mataji, anybody who has not read, you will tell. Sonali Mataji. Sitarani Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, there are few hands raised. Janaki Vinod Mataji, and after that, Rupali Mataji.
Yeah, okay. I thought, okay, somebody has not read. Oh, Manasvi. Okay, okay. Janaki Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी वंदन। ये श्लोकेरे अर्थ जाने केले स्वरूपा देव सेवक सरताहान गियाचे न रूपा। Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This verse appears to be the hankering between some ordinary boy and girl, but its actual deep meaning was known only to Swarupa Damodara. By chance, one year, Rupa Goswami was also present there.
This Manasvi.
Yes, Mataji.
60.
Yeah, okay, Mataji. प्रभु मुखी लोक सुनी श्री रूपा गोसाई से श्लोकेरा अर्थ श्लोका करीला कथाई। Translation by His Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although the meaning of the verse was known only to Swarupa Damodara, Rupa Goswami, after hearing it from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, immediately composed another verse and describe the meaning of the original verse. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Rupali is said, no?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
Loka kari ekatala patarete likhiya apana vasara chale rakhila gunjiya. Translation. After composing this verse, Rupa Goswami wrote it on a palm leaf and put it on the roof of the thatch house in which he was living. Hare Krishna.
And Doctor something I saw name that time. Okay. Deval.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Shloka rakhi gila samudra snana karite hena kale aila prabhu tanhare milite. Translation. After composing this verse and putting it on the roof of his house, Srila Rupa Goswami went to bathe in the sea. In the meantime, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his hut to meet him. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Chandana.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Haridasa Thakure Ara Rupa Sanatana Jagannatha Mandirene Yena Tina Jana. Mataji, can you scroll it up?
Can't see?
Yes, Mataji. Translation. To avoid turmoil, three great personalities, Haridasa Thakura, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, did not enter the temple of Jagannatha.
It is still the practice at Jagannath temple not to allow those to enter who do not strictly follow the Vedic culture known as Hinduism. Srila Haridas Thakur, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami had previous intimate connections with Muslims. Haridas Thakur had been born in the Muslim family, and Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, having given up their social status in the Hindu society, had been appointed ministers in the Muslim government. They had even changed their names to Dabir Khas and Sakara Malik. Thus, they had supposedly been expelled from the Brahmana society. Consequently, out of humility, they did not enter the temple of Jagannath. Although the personality of Godhead Jagannath, in his form as Lord Chaitanya, personally came to see them every day. Similarly, the members of the Krishna Consciousness Society are sometimes refused to enter into some of the temples in India. We should not feel sorry about this as long as we engage in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Krishna himself associates with devotees who are chanting his holy name, and there is no need to be unhappy over not being able to enter a certain temple. Jai. Such dogmatic prohibitions were not approved by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those who were thought unfit to enter the Jagannath temple were daily visited by Lord Chaitanya, and this indicates that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not approve of the prohibitions. To avoid unnecessary turmoil, however, these great personalities would not enter the Jagannath mandir, which we had discussed. Shobha? Sudha.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mahaprabhu Jagannatera Upala Bhoga Dekiya Nija Grihe Yana Ye Tinera Miliya. Translation. Every day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to see the Upala Bhoga ceremony at the temple of Jagannatha, and after seeing this, he used to go visit these three great personalities on his way to his own residence. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Upala Bhoga is a particular type of offering performed just behind the Garuda Stamba on a stone slab. That stone slab is called the Upala. All food is offered within the temple room just below the altar of Jagannatha. This Bhoga, however, was offered on a stone slab within the vision of the public, therefore called as the Upala. Medhavini.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Etina madhye yabe thake jana tanre asi apane mile prabhura niyama. Translation. If one of these three was not present, he would meet the others. That was his regular practice. Hare Krishna.
Mohandas KP.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Eidine madhya yabe urdevete chahila chale goncha taila patre sei sloka paila. Translation. Can you please
Can't see?
Translation. Yeah, can't see it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the residence of Srila Rupa Goswami, he accidentally saw the palm leaf on the roof, and thus he read the verse composed by him. Hare Krishna.
Dr. Karpagavalli.
Dandat Pranam Mataji.
Yes.
Sloka Party Agi Prabhu Avistahayatya Rupa Goswami Asi Pade Dandavat Hana. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhuji. After reading the verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into an ecstatic mood. While he was in that state, Rupa Goswami came and immediately fell down on the floor rod.
The word danda means rod. A rod or pole falls straight. Similarly, when one offers obeisances to the superior with all 8 angas, he performs what is called as dandavat. Sometimes we only speak of dandavats, but actually do not fall down. In any case, dandavat means falling down like a rod before one superior.
The word danda means perpetration.
Purport. Yes. Yeah.
The word danda means rod or pole. A rod or pole falls straight. Similarly, when one offers obeisances to his superior with all 8 angas, parts of the body, he performs what is called dandavat. Sometimes we only speak of dandavats, but we actually do not fall down. In any case, dandavat means falling down like a rod before one superior. Dandavat pranam Mataji.
Very good. Next one, Gayatri.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Uti Mahaprabhu Tanre Chapada Maria Kahite Lagi Lakichu Kolete Kariya. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Rupa Goswami fell down like a rod, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up and gave him a slap. Then taking him on his lap, he began to speak to him. Hare Krishna.
Manasvi want to say, tell one more.
Mataji, I'm Shobha Mataji. Can I read one sloka?
Yes, you can read.
Hare Krishna Tanurtana. Mora slokera abhipraya na jane ko na jane. Mora mane rekha tha tumi janile ke mane. Translation B. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. No one knows the purport of my verse. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, how could you understand my intention? Hare Krishna Tanurtana Mataji.
Manasvi want to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji. Itabali tantre bahu prasada kariya swarupa gosai shloka dikhaile laya. Translation by His Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Saying this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed various benedictions upon Rupa Goswami, and taking the verse, he later showed it to Swarupa Goswami. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Very good. Bhuvana.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Swarupe Puchena Prabhu Heya Vishmite Mora Manare Kata Rupa Janila Ke Mate. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Having shown the verses to Swarupa Dhamodara with great wonder, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him how Rupa Goswami could understand the intention of his mind. Thank you, Mataji.
We had the opportunity to receive a similar blessing from Bhakti Siddhanta. This our Prabhupada is telling. When we presented an essay at his birthday ceremony, he was so pleased with that essay that he used to call some of his confidential devotees and show it to them. How could he have understood the intention of Srila Prabhupada? How could we have understood the intentions of Srila Prabhupada? Means here Srila Prabhupada means our Prabhupada is referring to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That is, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's intentions were understood by our Srila Prabhupada. That time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was also called as Prabhupada by his people like that. So, by reading that Nirvishesha Shunyavad, this is there. No, that one on Vyasa Puja day of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Prabhupada had composed. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so much happy that how he could understand the deep, because he had specifically wanted to propagate the Nirvishesha factor, that is impersonalism, to cut off the impersonalism and propagate personalism. So that particular shloka our Prabhupada had written in the Vyasa Puja offering of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was actually very surprised and he was showing to everybody. That is what Prabhupada is explaining here. He remembers that. So sweet. Then Maumita Datta.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Swarupa kahe yate janila tumara mana tate jani haya tumara kripara bhajana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah. Srila Swarupa Damodara Goswami replied to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if Rupa Goswami can understand your mind and attentions, he must have your Lordship's special benediction. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Jai. Uma Kulkarni.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Prabhu kahe tare ami santushta hana alingana kailo sarva shakti sanchariya. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord said, I was so pleased with Rupa Goswami that I embraced him and bestowed upon him all necessary potencies for preaching the Bhakti cult.
Very good.
Hare
And Rupali, 74.
Hare Krishna. Yogya patra haya guda rasavi vivechane tumay kohiyo tare guda rasakyani. Translation. I accept Srila Rupa Goswami as quite quick to understand the confidential mellow of devotional service, and I recommend that you explain devotional service to me further. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Dandavad. 75th. Who has not made Medhamini?
Yes, Mataji. ये सब कहिबा आगे विस्तार करीना संक्षेप उद्देश्य कैला प्रस्ताव पाइना. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I shall describe all these incidents elaborately later on. Now I have given only a brief reference. Hare Krishna.
I think this is the last for today. 1 second, I'll just check. Yeah. Thank you very much for your patient listening, and let's be in this journey of Chaithanya Charithamrita for all our benefit. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
If anybody has